Okay. Sit.
Okay, so warmly welcome to all of you for another important training session, Fire Warden. So we have few minutes for open discussion. So I just created one question. Might be we can have some better discussion on it. This is the question for all of you. I mean, what is the difference between fire warden, fire watcher, and even the firefighter? I repeat again, what is the difference between fire warden, fire watcher, and firefighter? Or you believe all three in one, and you can designate one guy for the same project as a fire warden, as a fire watcher, or as a firefighter?
For this, we will designate another personnel for each category, no,
Oh,
to do the job, but the responsibility is the same.
excellent, mashallah. Excellent. So they have almost common responsibilities, but fire warden, we will particularly discuss, how he is supporting in evacuation drills and plenty of other things, for ensuring fire protection and prevention systems. Okay, now the question arises, why still fire incidents are happening? What are the real root causes? I mean, as per your understanding, I'm talking to your experience, not to the bookish knowledge.
For the fire, root cause for the fire, no, sometimes due to the negligence of the responsible persons who will taking care, no, for this area.
Okay.
That is the number one root cause, because if we will taking care, no, in to comply as per proper safety precaution before we will execute of anything, any activities, so we will minimize, or we will prevent any fire incident happen.
Okay. So you mean the carelessness, ignorance?
The carelessness, yes.
That means a poor housekeeping on the other side, because they don't care about
Exactly.
their area. Okay, so these are few of the examples. So poor behavior, unsafe behavior.
Hmm.
And it's not like that every time they are lacking in knowledge. They have knowledge, but they don't want to follow that knowledge. They don't want to apply that knowledge into their life.
Yeah.
This is some other example, like keeping plenty of things all together, accumulation of trash or.
Excuse me, sir. Can I ask one question only?
Yes, please.
How many hours you will spend for this training? Because one of our security, we have an urgent job also. So how many hours we will spend for this? Thank you.
Now look at this picture, for some time the rules are there, the system is implemented, but unfortunately no one is willing to follow. Like if you see the fire exit doors, they are blocked, but even though it is clearly written there that the fire exit is there, even no smoking, but he loves to smoke. And hard hat area, look at the manual handling, and look at the lady also. Instead of a safety poster, she likes bike poster, right?
Yeah.
And look at the tripping hazard and even the goggles.
Yeah.
And look at the guard as well, she doesn't want to use that guard actually. So this unsafe behavior or the kind of a mindset, again, like we discussed yesterday, is a game of culture actually. And changing the culture of the company, sometimes it takes maybe 3 years, sometimes 5 years. It's not like overnight. If your employees are addicted with living with unsafe conditions or performing some unsafe acts or having some shortcuts, on the job. So that addiction you can't remove immediately. You need a very concrete plan, to gain that overall mindset and creating a better safety culture. Take another example. Sometime, I call these compressed gas cylinders like a tickling bomb, but unfortunately, we don't manage them sometimes properly, especially at the site. So now what is fire actually? It's a game of 3 words, the triangle.
Yes, yes. Yeah,
That
fire
means
is a rapid oxidation, no? It's a
yeah,
rapid oxidation, this one.
you're absolutely right. So oxygen, heat, and fuel, and indeed chemical reaction. And if you want to fight with that fire, so one element minimum we need to remove. That means we need to break that triangle. Either you remove oxygen or heat or fuel. Now I can create a question here, since we are practical experienced people. What do you think? Which one is more easier to remove in? To break this triangle, which element is more easier to remove? Either oxygen or heat or fuel? What is your opinion?
To remove fuel
Okay, so you mean this is sometime more easier.
or heat because fuel or heat is manageable to remove this one. Because if
Okay.
the fuel is present to one area, it should be
Uh-huh.
rectified, removed. And if they have some heat also, possible to remove also this one.
Okay. That means you know, situation to situation or scenario to scenario, it would be decided either oxygen or heat or fuel, which one we need to attack first. So then we can break this triangle. This depends on the condition as well. Okay, so remember this race, the word race, that means the number one priority in case of fire incidents, just rescue yourself, rescue someone else if you are trained for, if you are authorized for. And same way, you must be familiar how to put alarm and contain the fire and extinguish as well. And all the fire wardens, fire watchers, firefighters, even I sometimes I suggest, every employee of the company at least must be trained how to use fire extinguisher, because we can't expect that every time whenever there is a fire incident, so immediately the fire fighter will be available or the fire watcher will be available. So it's much better. Why don't we train at least for one product like the fire extinguisher, how to use it? All our employees, including security guards, even office janitorial staff, as well as even the tea boys, even our general manager know how to train him how to use fire extinguisher. Our project managers even, right? So, but anyhow, it's quite simple. 4 steps are there, like pull the pin, aim the extinguisher hose at the fire nozzle at the bottom of the fire, and also squeeze the handle and sweep it slowly. But two important points are here. Before we use, make sure the fire extinguisher is in active position, and the most important part is the wind direction and your standing position, how far you are standing uh, uh, before you fight with the fire. So in that context, wind direction is more critical, because you truly have to make sure that your safety is not being compromised. Actually, your safety must be your top priority. And we can't fight with fire. Even the fire wardens would also be confused if they are not familiar about the classifications of fire. So there are 4 classifications, even 5 we can say, but let's understand 4 first. The class A, B, C, D, even K is there, but class A is all about wood, paper, cloth, rubber, and some plastics. And class B falls under gasoline, kerosene, paint, and propane, and electrical equipment is class C. And metals like magnesium, titanium, and several others is all about class D. Now, which fire we have to fight with what kind of extinguishers actually? So according to the class of fire, we need to understand which fire extinguisher will be more beneficial. Like, and if you see ABC powder, it is kind of a multi-purpose. You can apply for fire type A, B, C, even electrical appliances. So on the other side, this powder, the specialist powder, is all about metal, and wet chemical we can use for A and F as well. For more detail, we can understand here, like class A, fire involved ordinary combustible materials. And class B is all about flammable combustible liquids. Class C, fire involving organized electrical equipment. And class D is combustible metals. And most importantly, nowadays we have kitchen and such stuff. So make sure the fire involving cooking oils and fats, class K, is also understood by our employees. Now, what are the key responsibilities of a fire warden? The primary responsibility is to manage evacuation of all persons, like in case of emergency, or even you have evacuation drills. Make sure the fire warden is playing his role more effectively and making sure no one is left behind in the building or at the site. Everyone is available at the muster point while you are having head count or kind of attendance there. And on the other side, he is also a designated person during a fire or other emergency. Fire wardens will be selected from the different areas. So now choice is yours. Like either you are going to select fire wardens department wise or competence wise or area wise or process wise, choice is yours. Like especially for hot work, like if you have a welding department, so more chances of fire is there because welding, or you have abrasive blasting or a kind of spray painting department separate. Sorry. So make sure these guys, they are clearly understanding, and someone as a fire watcher or as a fire warden is well selected and well trained also as per your fire safety plan. Otherwise, we can propose no harm to have a fire safety committee, and you can get involved our security staff, including telephone operators and firefighting team indeed, and put some fire team leaders on board to handle fire wardens and fire watches. And fire watches and fire wardens, including firefighting team, all they have to support and keep uh, better safety of employees, contractors, and visitors whenever they are visiting. And induction program here became very much critical, especially for the visitors. Whoever is coming first time at our site, we must deliver some induction so they could be familiar how many high hazardous areas are there and where are the muster points. So in case of emergency, how they have to react, what steps they have to follow. Now, fire prevention. Prevention is better than cure. We discussed several times. So what is prevention? Keep this triangle away from each other. Like don't let meat, fuel, heat, and oxygen together. If they are even meeting together, make sure they are well maintained and with high-tech materials and the installations of our like electrical system. Let's take an example. If it is designed for 100 years, make sure the 100 years quality is well purchased actually, not only in documentation, not only in BOQ. Make sure, I hope you got the point. If you are installing electrical systems, the shelf life is designed, suppose, for 100 years. So make sure you have validated quality and through certifications and having some electrical engineers on board, they can verify the supplier will not be playing with you, right? But prevention is much, much better than cure. So instead of fire protection, our focus first of all should be fire prevention. But how we can prevent for fire? Make sure the combustible materials like paper, cardboard, cloth, wood, and oils, because these are the causes, are well managed. Electrical problems, overloaded circuits, make sure it's not there, and even damaged wiring, defective switches, and damaged plugs. Heat and ignition sources are managed through hot work permits and with better JSI and GSA and plenty of other risk assessment methodologies to understand that there isn't any chance of, if there is a chance even, we have a fire watcher to tackle immediately. So source of heat or ignition can be any, like wherever you have maybe friction of two parts, so they are rubbing together, still we can say, there is a chance of ignition source. Same way, if you have abrasive blasting or sand blasting, or you have spray painting and nearby you have some electrical connections or kind of welding projects altogether. So still as per the area, as per the risk assessment sheet of even that area, you just need to understand where is the more possibilities of fire incident, and that areas should be allocated like a red zone areas. That means everybody have to be very much careful, especially into those areas. Now the machinery, make sure it's adequately lubricated, not inadequately, because over lubrication, that means you are putting more fuel. And dirty machinery, of course, it can also cause fire and some of the mechanical defects as well. Smoking, especially in the non-designated areas, of course, horrible. Let's take an example. Your guys are doing some spray painting in a confined space. In a confined space, they have a spray painting for 6 hours. Now the second shift came and they started smoking. And the moment they started smoking, the scientist is not familiar what is going in the air, what is already in the air. You know, the whole air is occupied with fuel, the terrible combustible, right? So immediately he would never get a second chance to run away. That's why we have to keep them away, like oxygen, heat, and fuel. And for this one, the much better strategy is there must be fire risk assessment. And for fire risk assessment, you can follow 5 steps. One is gathering the information, get maximum information about the history, the items, the shelf life, the list of chemicals, and their flammability levels. Get every sort of information, and then go for fire hazard identification, every nook and corner of your company or your project site, and have some fire risk evaluation and put some better controls, and make sure you have some periodic review after implementation of certain controls. Ultimately, you need to find out how many high, medium, or low areas are there, because likelihood and severity must be calculated. That is why the risk assessment, fire risk assessment, separately is also important. You know, one risk assessment register, we have a common, like common for every activity, common for every process, even for all materials, equipment, all areas. But one risk assessment, you can just separately prepare only as a fire risk assessment, separate document, and make sure you specifically understand. And here you can get involved third party also, like your third party gentlemen, they are coming for, uh, some checking and inspection of all your fire protection systems. So make sure they are also involved while you are doing fire risk assessment. And also the relevant area supervisor or kind of the person, even like if welder is there and working for the last 10 years, get him also involved as a part of fire risk assessment team. And ultimately the consequences and likelihood could be like very likely, unlikely. So again, it's part of risk matrix. And ultimately you need to find out how many red zone areas are there, and that would be your key focus area, immediate focus area. And yellow, of course, also required some immediate action, but at the end our goal is to bring it down at negligible level, because risk we can't eliminate, but at least we can try our level best to minimize them. That's why against every sort of fire risk, we have certain kind of control hierarchy, like elimination or substitution, engineering controls, administrative, and PPs. Either we eliminate or substitute. Find out the substitution, like if you are using a solvent based paint, you can change with water based. So you find out the substitute instead of working with the same material methodology. Now, otherwise, you can rely on engineering control, either isolation or kind of, I would say elimination. That also comes under engineering control. But administrative control, you can put a lot of policies, trainings, safety meetings, your toolbox meetings, your warning signs, your different kind of posters, all comes under administrative controls. And ultimately, the last solution we have, personal protective equipment. These are some of the items I'm sure you guys are well familiar, like smoke, heat detectors, brake glass, main sub-alarm, exit staircase, fire door sprinkle, corridor lobby or staircase, escape route, hose reel, extinguisher, etc. And based on that, there must be our fire evacuation map, how in case of emergency, how our guys, have to react on it. And you can have some fire evacuation drills also. But make sure you note down the time and the last person, when he arrived at this muster point, and note down the average time. And based on that time, you can understand either your drill is successful, yes or no. And this must be reported in your records also. So this is kind of a fire evacuation procedure. I'm sure you would have it. Make sure you also identify the assembly areas, the exits, the first aid kit and fire extinguishers as well. So people can easily understand. Now the firefighting equipment could have fire detector, alarm system. We discussed already, but make sure they are well installed and well maintained. Like yesterday also we discussed, a fire system is there, but it's not maintained. And remember this battery operated fire alarm or kind of detectors, they are not acceptable now. Addressable system is approved by Saudi Aramco. These systems are also there. I hope you have an idea, but make sure if you have fire hydrant system or sprinkler system, the water pressure is critical. Even though you have a big tank, water tanks are there, but what is the pressure inside the pipe? The moment you required water in case of very severe emergency, so make sure you understand the sufficient pressure of water is there. And that's why that pressure should also be measured actually, through your third party, uh, uh, the contractors. Make sure you ask them, we really want to know, okay, tank is there, the hydrant system is there, but what is the pressure inside the pipe? And that pressure is critical the moment we use that water and we require it in case of emergency. We already discussed anyhow. Make sure this ABC powder you understand can be used for 4 different types of fires, like wood, paper, textile, like A, B for flammable liquids, or gaseous fires, C, or live electrical equipment as well. That is why we see ABC powder mostly installed, in different companies. No harm to understand how many parts are there and how you have to understand, like pressure gauge. This is very much critical to understand. If it is in the red zone, that means uh, we have to send for refill, or if it is in green zone, it's a satisfactory mark that we can use this fire extinguisher. Pin is important, discharge lever is important, and most importantly the discharge nozzle must also be supportive. I mean, it shouldn't be blocked all the way around. And that's
There,
already we discussed.
I have one question.
Yes,
For
please.
this, for the pressure gauge, no?
Yeah.
Example, the arrow for the pressure gauge is coming, go down to the left. What does mean? Pressure's down?
Yeah, exactly. So actually, this whenever you see in the red, even you don't need to think about the other possibilities. Either the powder is finished, or it is expired, or whatever. Just red means avoided. You need to send for refilling.
So it means if the arrow going down to the right to the left or going down to the right is the same.
No, not the same. Of course, it tells us 2 stories. Either the powder is expired, or it is used already, or somewhat is used actually. Because sometimes what we do is one time use, one lever press, and our guys, they're not trained, and they kept the same fire extinguisher in the same place actually.
Because in my experience, the one I will expected the fire extinguisher, no. Some fire extinguisher, no one can use the fire extinguisher. But the problem, the gauge is going down to the red level to the left, and the some is going to the red level to the right.
that's why I'm telling, no need to go into that detail. Actually, the red means we have no choice. I mean, we will not use it actually. But what I suggest, whenever there is a fire fighting drill, actually, use all these red, for practicing and and then send for refilling.
Yeah, yeah.
Then send for refilling. But yes, it's definitely is giving some stories, because we have two possibilities. Either the powder is finished
Yeah, because
or used,
I
or
am thinking maybe I am thinking if the pressure gauge going to the right, no, maybe the pressure's down, or maybe the pressure gauge going to the left, maybe this already expired.
yeah,
But
no, two possibilities. Either the powder finished or it is expired, because everything have a shelf life, like kind of expiry date. But for us, there is no choice. Once it's in red, we will not think any other technicalities. Better to remove it and send for refilling,
I will
But
clarify.
I totally agree. Everything is communicating something to us, technically. I totally agree. That's why this pause must be used, but wind direction and the distance from the fire is also important to understand. Okay, so that is all about. Just one competition is there based on this presentation. Based on this presentation, one competition is there that would take maybe 15 more minutes, and it will give us some practical scenario based understanding, inshallah. So let me just open that.
Okay.
Just 1 minute. So within this competition, I will share with you, first of all, one picture, then one question, and 4 multiple options. And your answer must be justifiable technically, like we are discussing right now. Same way it will help us, how that fire safety can be ensured. Just 1 moment. Screen is visible, please.
Yeah, visible.
Okay. So it's kind of a fire safety quiz competition, we call it.
Okay.
So this competition have 3 rounds. For each round, there are 5 questions. Okay. And I'm expecting that every question will be answered 100% correctly. But let's see. And it's open, like anyone can give the answer. Or you can have a team leader and discuss all together. And then give me the final answer. And then I'll evaluate either it's right or. Now look at the picture first.
Okay.
The question is, all extinguishers are good for all fires, true or false? It's a $100 question.
All fire extinguishers are good for all fires? No.
No. So it's false. Excellent, Marshall.
False.
The $200 question is there. Look at the picture first. The question is, fire extinguishers should be serviced at least every 3 years, located as required by local regulations or by fire hazard identification, used to hold doors open, or checked frequently for good operation by weighing the extinguisher.
B.
Yeah, you can discuss with others also if they also have the same opinion.
B. Parang E.
You'll go with B.
Located at fire local regulations, certification. Okay, we will go for B.
Excellent, mashallah. So right answer. Because located and required by the local regulation. Excellent, mashallah. $300 question. Look at the picture first. The question is, fire extinguisher should be checked visually monthly by checking.
Okay.
The extinguishers are located and stored correctly and installed according to the local law. Pressure gauge where fitted, needle is in the green zone. No damage, no leaks, no rust, and the pin is in place. All of the above.
Fire extinguisher should be located at the store. All of the above.
All of the above. Correct, Marshall. Excellent. Now, question number 4, $500 question is there. Look at the picture. The question is, fire hoses should be checked for operation regularly, kept neatly rolled up ready for a fire, used for hosing on the factory floor, or both A and B.
Both A and B, D.
Both A and B. Okay, so D is the right answer. Excellent, Marshall. Brilliant. $1,000 question number 5. Round number 1. Fire alarms are checked for operation regularly, indicated by signage and color, installed in accordance with the local regulations, and must be in high risk areas. All of the above.
Installed in accordance with the law. All of the above.
Bravo,
D?
mashallah. Excellent. Excellent. So round 5, round 1, all 5 are well answered, mashallah. So let's move on for round 2. Brilliant. $2,000 question number 6. Look at the picture first. Basic emergency action planning should be in place. What should this not cover? Basic emergency action planning should be in place. What should this not cover? Option A, emergency shutdown procedures, shift roster, coverage for illness, primary, secondary exit routes, assembly areas.
Letter B.
B, brilliant, mashallah, right answer. Excellent, excellent. You know, you are saving your time, by the way. Excellent, mashallah. Okay, look at the picture. Fire prevention processes do not include burning of rubbish, good housekeeping, storing and handling of combustible materials, hot work permits like welding, brazing. Fire prevention processes do not include
Stories fire prevention process.
It's a little bit tricky question.
Tricky question, this one, yeah. Storage, burning. Burning of rubbish. Burning of rubbish.
Yeah.
B. Letter A.
You will go with
Letter A.
A. Excellent, Marshall. Excellent. Because all other 3 elements we can't ignore. It must be part of our fire prevention process. But burning of rubbish is our own choice, so we will definitely take care of it. Look at the picture. Question number 8. $8,000 question is there. How often should fire evacuation practices be carried out for each shift to cover all employees? Every month, once a year, twice a year, once a year or as required by the local regulations?
Every month, letter A.
Okay, any other opinion?
Twice a year, once a year, twice a year. Okay, evacuation practice covered by the employee.
Because every month means that is your own choice. That is your
Yeah,
own
twice a year.
decision.
Twice a year, every 6 months. Letter C.
Okay.
D.
Yes.
Okay, letter D. You want D?
Letter D.
According to the local regulation.
Hey.
Letter D.
You know, this A, B, C, that is our own choice actually. But the law says once a year or as required by the local regulation. So yes, letter D is the right answer. Excellent. Now, question number 9, $16,000 question is there. The question is, on the job specific health and safety training is required for all workers. On the job specific health and safety training is required for all workers. Within 3 months of starting a new job, prior to starting a new job, or except temporary and migrant workers, or none of the above.
Letter B. Letter B.
Correct, Marshall. Excellent. Question number 10, last question of round number 2, $32,000 question is there. Look at the picture. If you see fire or smoke, what should you do? So little bit tricky question, so I hope you will give the right answer. Panic and run out of the building as fast as you can. Remain calm, alert warden, personally call fire services, leave the building, wait at the front for the fire truck. Remain calm, rescue anyone. If it is safe to do so, raise the alarm, close doors and windows, extinguish the fire with extinguisher or hoses. Remain calm and follow your business evacuation plan, assemble in the designated assembly area. If you see fire or smoke, what should you do?
Letter D.
Sorry?
Letter D.
E.
D.
Okay, so you are a daring mind. So you mostly going with D. Excellent. Okay, so D is the right answer because this is what our procedure says.
Yes.
Excellent. The last round, few more minutes. And from my side, it's all done, inshallah. The first step to preventing a fire is a fire risk assessment. Now the question is, fire risk assessment should be carried out as part of your emergency planning. The step 1 is identifying the fire hazard, which are sources of ignition. Identifying the fire hazards, that means which are sources of ignition. It could be naked flames, cigarette matches on pilots or lights or other, friction, dry belts, option B, and hot surfaces, heaters, engines, boilers, option D, and all of the above. They're talking about sources of ignition.
All of the above, letter D.
Okay, so all of the above, correct, mashallah. Correct. Brilliant. Okay, question number 12, $125,000 question. The question is, fire risk assessment, step 1, identifying the fire hazard, which are sources of fuel. Previous question was sources of ignition, now sources of fuel. Anything that burns, liquid, solvents, petrol, white spray, etc. Or solid textile, paper, wood, or all of the above.
D.
Source of fuel.
Yeah,
Solvent.
sources of fuel.
Ah, di ba? Solvent yan lang. Kasi fire yan eh. Fire assessment eh. Step 1. Anything that burns, dapat to. Oh, well, what's your answer?
D.
Okay, it said like D.
D, correct, mashallah. Brilliant. Brilliant. $250,000 question is there, number 13. So look at the picture first. Fire risk assessment, step 2 is identifying the people, little bit tricky question, identifying the people at risk, and step 3 is evaluate the risk. So which are correct? Option A is evaluating the risk by reduce the possibility of ignition or minimize the potential fuel load in the premises, assist people to escape. People at risk are based on the spread of fire, number of people, how warnings are given, how escape can happen, or both A and B, or identifying people is carried out by fire wardens and they will evaluate if they can extinguish the fire or call the fire service. A little bit tricky question, so let me know your answer. $250,000 question is there.
It said C.
C. So you will go with both A and B. Excellent. Excellent. Correct answer. Mashallah.
500,000.
Second last question, $0.5 million question is there. Use of fire or flame is called hot work in a factory, or this would be from any work carried out in the workplace. So when the room temperature is over 38 degrees Celsius, or welding, cutting or bracing, or using open flames or source of heat that could ignite material in an area, both A and B, or any electrical power leads that are damaged and may cause electrocution.
C. Letter C.
Oh. So I give you one more chance actually.
Letter B.
B. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so letter B. Yeah, this is technically justified. Excellent, Marshall. $1 million question number 15, the last round, last question. I'm expecting the right answer, inshallah. What is required for hot work permits, welding, brazing, grinding, etc.? Anyone can issue a hot work permit, including the person who's carrying out the hot work. Hot work can proceed as long as the area is inspected 60-90 minutes after completion of hot work. Issued by an authorized person, assessment of the area, including removal of flammable materials, available firefighting equipment, watches to monitor and inspection, post work, all of the above.
Letter C.
B.
Any other opinion, please?
Huh? Any can.
I'm expecting the doubt-free answer, the 100% confident answer. So if you are still with C, I'll move on.
PD. Okay, letter go. We will go to letter C.
C, excellent, mashallah. So right answer. Brilliant, brilliant, mashallah. So thank you very much. That is all about. I hope you would have enjoyed it, and just requesting again, please WhatsApp me your Ikama ID and your picture so I can process your IDs, inshallah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I will share it to you.
You can note down my WhatsApp. I can send in the chat box right now.
Sir, please hold on. I will